Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Motoroids. Today we have a brand new SUV with us. It's called the Mahindra Alturas G4. It's their flagship new product. Now this black SUV here, it looks very neat, it looks very clean. For a Mahindra, it's quite a departure from the designs that we've seen until now. For instance, take a look at this face. It's pretty upright, it stands bold, it's in your face, but it's still very sophisticated. And for being as tall as I am, this is for the first time that a Mahindra has such a clean and nice, pleasing looking design. For instance, take a look at these 18-inch alloy wheels which are wrapped in 265 section Hankook rubber, or these headlights which don't really have this whole busy kind of inserts embedded, but they have this nice LED trafficators here. These projector headlights which are conventionally illuminated, no LEDs over there, but you do have LEDs over here in the fog light section. Again, the way you look at it, there's a chrome strip running right through the bumper, and all in all, even with this toothy design and this Mahindra logo which replaces the SsangYong logo, the face looks very neat. It's upright, but it's not in your face. It looks very sophisticated, something which looks nice, not because it has a lot of cuts and angles going through, but because it looks sophisticated. Moving over to the sides, you have this nice chrome detailing around the glass area. At the back, it sort of swoops up. The side section is pretty clean. You have nice looking aluminium finished roof rails over here. And in terms of design, there's nothing in there, no such cuts or slashes which would offend anyone. Now once you move to the back, you have this antenna which is quite conventional, no shark fin structure there. You have this nice spoiler which has an integrated tail lamp and a slightly raked windscreen. But these lights, again, although there are new age inserts, there are no design elements in there which makes it look stand out in a way. It looks, again, very nice, sophisticated. You have this nice LED strip running through here, a conventional bulb for the indicators, and this nice chrome strip that runs along through here. This particular version we have here is a 4-wheel drive. You will also get a 2-wheel drive variant once the car is launched, and I think this is probably the biggest font I've ever seen on a car which tells you about the car's name. Overall, in terms of design, we like how this Mahindra looks, and it has that size, it has that imposing structure, but it also has class as an SUV. It's not something which will bully you in terms of sheer size, but it's sophisticated in terms of simplicity in its design. So what's it like inside the Mahindra Alturas? Well, you get a feeling of premium the moment you step inside the vehicle. For instance, take a look at this leather inserts or this wood inlay here, and what it does, it lends a very horizontal appeal to the dashboard. And you have these nice metal finish dials here, buttons which feel nice to the touch, and you get a 2-zone aircon system which chills the cabin pretty quick. You have this 8-inch large touchscreen display which is also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay compliant. The highlight of this display though is this 360-degree camera, which is only something you get in cars which are probably a segment above this. It also has modes. You can see the top view, that's the back view, that's left, right and front, and you also have a 3D view so that it makes it easy when you're parking the car. You can also turn the angles that way. If you're moving the car around, it shows you the obstacles around the vehicle. So pretty nice as a feature. Aircon flow can be shut completely on both the sides. You have this very nice to hold leather wrapped steering wheel which gets buttons for the infotainment system on the left hand side and buttons on the right hand for that nice looking display over there. By the way, it reads out quite a lot of information. So it's a very nice looking instrument console. You have white lit dials on both sides and a neat looking display in the center which gives you a ton of information. For instance, that you see the range, the average fuel economy, instant fuel economy. There's a temperature gauge right there, there's a fuel gauge right there, time, temperature, the odometer. Moving on to the next page, you see a digital speedometer right in the center. It also comes through in a different font if you like, and again a little more of fancy right there. The other side, you get information from the infotainment system being relayed over to the screen right there, and you have another page for certain settings about the car, where things like dashboard lighting, language, light, sounds and everything else can be controlled. These stocks here are also pretty high quality. You have these nice toggle switches for the headlight. By the way, once you switch on the headlight, the instrument console dims itself automatically. On the other side you have controls for the wiper. There are controls here for the headlight level. There's the switch for traction control to switch it on or off. You can also switch the proximity or the parking sensors off, and there's hill descent control as well. The power tailgate can be opened through here, and that's the switch for the camera. Other than that, you get a powered seat which is also ventilated for the driver, and the passenger switches for which are over here. And there are 3 levels, so you can adjust it that way. No heating function though, we don't need that in our country anyways. There's a nice USB point over here, an aux point over here, a power socket, cigarette lighter if you're someone who hasn't kicked a bad habit yet, some space here to keep certain bits, and this nice forward finish around this gear shifter. By the way, it also has a winter mode where the transmission delivers the power accordingly in snow and ice. There's also a normal mode, there's a manual mode like this. So if you switch, and there's a switch to toggle between gears, this is upshift, this is downshift. Other than that, what else? You get this nice shift on fly dial here, so between 2 high and 4 high you can shift at speeds of up to 70 kilometers per hour. However, if you have to shift into 4 low, for that you have to bring the car to a standstill. This car also gets an electronic parking brake. There's an ashtray, nice cup holder, and along with that what you have here is a central armrest, which is also space where you can put your phone in this tray here and certain other bits inside the tray. What about storage spaces? Where you have ample storage to store a 1 liter bottle here. You can probably squeeze in another bottle there too. There's space here so that you can put your phone or something else. There's a glove compartment here which is pretty nice, can hold a few things, and the glove compartment is also lit, so it's easy for you to find any stuff that you've stashed in there. These outside rear view mirrors, by the way, are heated. There's another space here for your sunglasses, and it's covered in soft touch material so that they don't get any scratches. There's a mirror here, and there's also a tiny light, and this windshield, by the way, also has a de-icing function inbuilt. Again, if you live somewhere where it gets cold or snows during winters in India, and that's a nice feature to have. This car also has ambient lighting, by the way, which is not really visible because it's still daylight, but you have that inside so that the cabin looks nice when it gets dark. The Alturas SUV also gets something called an ease of access system, where once the driver opens his door, the seat goes slightly backwards so that entry is easy. It's powered, and it also has 3 levels of memory which works in tandem with the mirror. So every time you get inside the car, you just have to push a button and you will be in your favorite position with the mirror set accordingly. This steering is not electronically adjustable. However, it is adjustable for rake and reach both, which is again very nice. And this car also gets cruise control. So along with this smooth shifting automatic transmission source from Mercedes, you get that feature if you want to just chug along on the highway. That's a nice thing to do. What else have we here? We have also this sunroof, the hatch for which, the inside hatch for which has to be opened manually. And although this is not something which is a panoramic sunroof, you still have some opening in the roof. Otherwise, the roof is all blacked out, and with this contrast quilted leather appointment, it looks very premium inside. Looks very nice, feels very nice. What do we have here in the infotainment display? Where 8 inches in size, it looks pretty crisp, looks nice, and feels good to touch as well. And apart from that, you get what seems like a nice subwoofer here. Right next to it though, what we also need to mention is this is usage of some really premium and nice feeling materials all around. And certain touch points you have, like, you know, when you place your arm over here, there's leather. When you place your arm on the other side of the door pad, there's leather. And everything else, even the plastic, is really nice, high quality, and metal otherwise is what you would feel on your fingertips. So again, the feeling of premium is quite high inside the Alturas. What about comfort in the second row? Well, this is a nice place to be, and the position of the backrest can be adjusted through a lever. If you're in the mood to take a nap, this goes all the way right till here, so that way it's easy for you to laze around if you're covering long distances. However, otherwise too, this seat is very nice, covered in that quilted leather pattern. You also have a central armrest with cup holders, so that's again a nice feature. twin vents for the aircon system here, but it's only a 2-zone, so no way to control the temperature, but you can shut the airflow if you like. There's another power socket here, a USB socket over here, again a nice touch if you have to charge your phone. And in terms of space, you see I do have a lot of knee room, leg room, and headroom again is great. Even here too, where I rest my arms, my elbows, they do have the sensation of leather rubbing against it, and this plastic here again is of high quality, leather over here as well. So we haven't found any touch point as yet inside this car which makes you feel that quality of materials has been skimped anywhere. Everything is made of really high grade materials. Well, this is a 7-seater SUV and that's the highlight. So if you're carrying your family around, what about space at the back? I'm quite tall. Although I'm tall, headroom as such, you know, it's not something that my head is already touching the roof. I'm pretty comfortable here, although like most other 7-seaters, I do have to sit with my knees up and they do brush against this backrest. However, if I tilt it slightly, it gets a little comfortable here. And for shorter journeys, if you're someone who's as tall or as wide as me, this is a comfortable place. If you don't really have to spend longer durations in here, but if you have kids, they will be pretty comfortable over here. The other thing, 9 airbags is what you get with the car, and it extends till here. So in terms of safety, the Mahindra Altura scores pretty high too. Again, it's not that because this is the third row, so quality of materials has been overlooked. Even here, these seats feel nice. Even here, if you see, the material in which these seats are covered is very nice again, and the roof has been blacked out. The window area is quite tiny here, the quarter glass here, so it does feel a little short on light, but that's okay. You still do have a lot of light coming through the rear windscreen. What about boot space? Well, you have this nice tray here which segregates the space when the third row is up. You can probably put a couple overnighters here. If you remove it, you get even more space under that, and if you put it back and tumble the third row like so, you have acres of space. The other thing what you have here is also a blower which controls airflow for the third row of passengers, and another 120 watt socket. So 3 of them that we found in the car until now, which is a great thing. There's a hook here if you want to hang a bag or something. And the toolkit and the jack reside in this very neatly covered area behind this plastic panel. So all in all, efforts have been made to make the inside nicely packaged and make it appear premium. And by the way, this boot door here is controlled electronically, so it goes down at the push of a button. So what's it like to drive the Mahindra Alturas G4? Well, behind the wheel it feels very nice, it feels very plush, as you can see from the luxurious cabin that I have around me. It has been powered from a SsangYong source 2.2 litre diesel engine which is Euro 6 ready, puts out 178 bhp at 4000 rpm and 420 newton meters of torque between 1600 and 2600 rpm. Paired to the smooth shifting 7-speed Mercedes sourced gearbox, you don't really have any driving modes as such. Now what's the performance like from this car? Well, let's put it through its paces and see it for ourselves. One other thing which is unique to this SUV is this bird-like chirp which you hear when you've switched on the indicators. I'm not sure how much of that can you hear. I'll just try to. So you know that sound that you have otherwise when you switch on your indicators, that's not there. You have a bird chirping when you have those indicators on, which is pretty unique and sounds nice to your ears. Now let's get off the mark. The steering at very low speeds, it feels like it has some weight to it, but once you get the car moving, it loses some of that heft. And the other thing, after 1500 rpm, the car picks up very nicely. Gear shifts are smooth. You don't really notice any changes in momentum as the gearbox goes about its business. And 1500 rpm onwards, as I said, the car picks up pretty nicely. It gets into this pretty fluid motion as such, and at path throttle it feels very nice to drive. But once you push that throttle inside after 2500 rpm or so, you feel that slight boom of the diesel engine inside the cabin, which goes up right till the 4000 rpm mark. Having said that, the engine on the Alturas G4 is pretty rev friendly and revs up to its 4000 rpm red line rather quickly, as you can see right now. That's how it does it. And like most other cars which have been launched at this time, to meet with the new regulations. You also get that tiny beep once you cross speeds of 80 kilometers per hour, and a continuous beep once you cross 120 kilometers per hour. Was the ride quality like? Well, on this slightly broken piece of tarmac that we are driving on, it feels slightly perky inside the cabin, and it feels positive because it's not very mushy on all softened up. So it has been firmed up, the suspension, to the right amount of level, so that when you're behind the wheel and putting it through its paces, the car feels nice to drive, and you as a driver feel very positive to pilot this car around. The steering, it's slightly dead in the center, as you can see. This is what it does, but once you get used to it, it's pretty easy to pilot this car around. At no point of time you feel like, its road manners come across as scary or something. The brakes, however, feel very spongy at the pedal. They feel very soft on your foot and governed by quite a few electronics. They do lack that bite which we would have liked if there was a little bit more of it. Apart from that, what's the handling like? Well, the Alturas feels sure-footed, and even if you try to throw it around bends as I'm throwing right now at pretty decent speeds, you feel confident at all times, and that's a great thing for a vehicle of this size. I think this car with the Endeavour stands right up there in terms of road manners. They're very nice. As you can see, this car feels positive to track around these bends, although that steering feels a little vague in the center. But again, once you know how much to dial in, it feels nice to drive. The engine, again, as I don't know how much of that can you hear, but 2500 or 2700 RPM onwards, you do get a slight amount of that boom being filtered through the cabin, but that's not a complaint. The engine is pretty refined on its own at all other speeds. What about fuel efficiency? Well, the 2.2 liter diesel, we haven't really spent much time inside the car driving this thing, but if we have to depend on this display here, we expect that efficiency figure to be around 8 and 10, and that number is at par with its competitors, which are the Fortuner, the Endeavour and the Isuzu MU-X. And apart from that, when you put the car through bends, it holds its line in a very nice manner. Body roll is well contained. Again, for a 2-ton weight and a vehicle of this size, body roll is nicely contained, and you feel confident even when you're attacking bends in an SUV like this. In terms of features, well, this is again very well appointed. You get an 8-way adjustable power driver's seat. There's a tire pressure monitoring system. There's an electronic parking brake with an auto hold function as well. Wipers sense the rain and switch on their own. And in terms of safety, you have 9 airbags, which includes dual front airbags, full length curtain airbags, front seat airbags, rear seat airbags, and also knee protection. You have electronic stability program, ARP, HDC, HAS, PAS, ESS, ABS plus EBD, and an ultra rigid quad frame which is made of high strength steel. This car, by the way, sits on a body on ladder type setup. However, for the way it drives, it still feels very nice on the road. So how do we sum up our brief experience with the Mahindra Alturas? Well, in terms of features, kit and looks, it's loaded. It looks really nice and is worthy of a flagship for Mahindra, and it drives in a very nice manner, and everything will now depend as how it is priced against its 3 other rivals, which is the Toyota Fortuner, the Ford Endeavour and the Isuzu MU-X. If you ask us, for the amount of features and kit this car offers, it's right up there or probably even better than its competitors. The way it drives in terms of its competition, again, is it's only the Ford Endeavour which betters it in terms of on-road dynamics. With this 4-wheel drive variant, you get go anywhere capability too. So it has all the boxes covered, and for those proper SUV looks, we like everything that this Mahindra puts on the table. So on that note, we think it will all boil down to how Mahindra prices this Alturas G4 SUV, and if they get it right, it has all the makings of another bestseller from Mahindra. So my name is Karan, this is Motoroids, and for being the nicest subscribers in the world, do hit that like button if you did like the video, hit that share button and hit that subscribe button for more such content. And that has been our time with this car here. Until next time then, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.